SpaceX is not just launching rockets, it is building the infrastructure for humanity's next economy beyond Earth. And if you are a Tesla investor, this matters more than most people think. Hi everyone, this is Ken. Today, we are talking about SpaceX, but I don't want to explain SpaceX simply as a rocket company, because in my view, SpaceX is much bigger than that. Tesla is trying to reshape transportation, energy, AI, and autonomy here on Earth. SpaceX is trying to reshape transportation and communication beyond Earth. Different companies, different industries, but the strategy behind them is very similar. So today, let's look at what SpaceX really is, why it matters, and what long-term investors can learn from it. First, SpaceX is not just a rocket company. Yes, it builds rockets. Yes, it launches satellites. Yes, it sends cargo and astronauts into orbit. But rockets are only the first layer. The real mission is to reduce the cost of access to space. If space remains extremely expensive, it stays limited to governments, military projects, and a small number of scientific missions. But if space becomes cheaper and more accessible, it can become a new economic platform. Satellites, global internet, moon missions, Mars missions, and future space logistics all become more realistic. That is why SpaceX matters. It is not only improving rockets, it is changing the economics of space. This is where Tesla investors should pay attention. Tesla did not simply build electric cars. Tesla built batteries, software, superchargers, energy storage, AI infrastructure, and self-driving technology. In other words, Tesla built the ecosystem around the product. SpaceX is doing something similar. It is building reusable rockets, spacecraft, satellite internet, launch systems, and Starship. This is one of the key patterns in Elon Musk's companies. They do not just compete inside existing industries. They try to rebuild the rules of the industry itself. Tesla changed how people think about cars. SpaceX is changing how people think about space. The biggest reason SpaceX became special is reusable rockets. Before SpaceX, rockets were mostly single-use. A huge part of the rocket was lost after launch. That is like flying from Los Angeles to London, landing safely, and then throwing away the airplane. No airline business could work like that. But for a long time, rockets worked that way. SpaceX changed this with the Falcon 9 booster. By landing and reusing the booster, SpaceX changed the cost structure of space launches. This was not just an engineering achievement, it was a business model breakthrough. For investors, that is what we should watch. The biggest companies often win by changing the economics of an entire industry. The second point is vertical integration. SpaceX controls much of its design, manufacturing, engines, launch systems, and satellite operations. This is very similar to Tesla. Tesla is deeply involved in batteries, software, AI, manufacturing, charging, and energy. Why does this matter? Because vertical integration gives a company speed. It allows faster problem solving, it reduces dependence on outside suppliers, and it allows the company to redesign the entire system, not just one small part. Legacy companies often outsource complexity. Musk companies often bring complexity in-house. That is difficult and risky, but if it works, the company can learn faster than competitors. And in fast-moving industries, learning speed can become a major advantage. The third point is how SpaceX treats failure. When people watch Starship tests, they sometimes see explosions and think, that was a failure. But SpaceX often sees something else, data. The company builds, launches, tests, breaks things, learns, improves, and launches again. This is closer to software development than traditional aerospace, and this is another connection with Tesla. Tesla also improves products through software updates, real-world data, and continuous learning. So the real question is not always, did this test look perfect? The better question is, did SpaceX learn something that moves the program forward? Short-term headlines focus on drama. Long-term value is built through learning cycles. Now, let's look at what SpaceX is actually building. Falcon 9 is the transportation layer. Dragon is the crew and cargo layer. Starlink is the communication layer. And Starship is the future heavy transport layer. When we put these together, SpaceX looks very different. It is not just launching rockets, it is building an infrastructure platform. And for investors, Starlink may be the most important part. Starlink gives SpaceX recurring revenue. SpaceX launches its own satellites with its own rockets. Those satellites provide internet service. Customers pay for that service. That revenue can support future launches, Starship development, and the larger SpaceX mission. This creates a powerful flywheel: lower launch costs, more satellites, better coverage, more customers, more cash flow, and more development. That is why Starlink is so important. It turns SpaceX from a launch company into a communication infrastructure company. This is also why the market is so interested in SpaceX. There is a lot of attention around a possible SpaceX IPO someday, but we need to be careful. The timing, valuation, and structure are not officially confirmed. So, investors should not treat IPO rumors as facts. The more important question is this: why does the market want access to SpaceX? The answer is simple: reusable rockets, Starlink, Starship, government and commercial contracts, and the possibility that SpaceX controls a major part of the future space economy. The market is not only interested in rockets, it is interested in infrastructure, because infrastructure can become extremely valuable when the market built on top of it grows. So what does this mean for Tesla investors? Tesla and SpaceX are not the same company. Tesla is public, SpaceX is private. Tesla investors do not automatically own SpaceX, but SpaceX helps us understand the deeper pattern behind Elon Musk's strategy. Start with a difficult mission, find the bottleneck, reduce the cost, build infrastructure, move fast, learn from real-world data, and then expand into markets that were previously too difficult or too expensive. Tesla did this with EVs, charging, batteries, software, and autonomy. SpaceX is doing this with rockets, satellites, communication, and space transportation. For long-term investors, the lesson is clear. The real value is often not only in the first product, the real value is in the infrastructure that product enables. So here is my conclusion. SpaceX is not just a rocket company, it is building transportation and communication infrastructure for a future where space becomes more accessible. Tesla is building infrastructure for transportation, energy, AI, and autonomy on Earth. SpaceX is expanding that vision beyond Earth. Of course, this does not mean everything will be easy. SpaceX still faces technical risks, regulatory challenges, huge capital needs, and uncertainty. Starship is not guaranteed, Starlink has competition, and future space markets will take time to develop. But for long-term investors, the deeper question is this: is SpaceX building infrastructure that could become essential over the next 10, 20, or 30 years? If the answer is yes, then SpaceX is not just an exciting company. It may be one of the clearest examples of how the next generation of infrastructure will be built. Going forward, every Friday, I want to make this a SpaceX-focused day on this channel. We will look at the technology, the business model, the risks, and the long-term vision behind SpaceX. Next time, we will go deeper into why SpaceX can launch rockets faster and cheaper than traditional aerospace companies. The key topics will be reusable rockets and vertical integration. That is all for today. If this video helped you understand SpaceX from a long-term investor perspective, please hit the like button. I post daily videos covering Tesla, AI, autonomy, energy, SpaceX, and the future of technology. So if you want to follow the bigger picture behind Elon Musk's companies, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. And as always, let's enjoy the future with Tesla. Before we wrap up, let me take a moment to introduce myself. I drive a Tesla Model Y, and at home, I've installed a Tesla Powerwall, so I actually charge my car with solar energy. I truly believe Tesla is shaping the future, and that's why I share the latest news and insights here on this channel. I'm from Japan, but I want to connect with Tesla fans all around the world. That's why I also create an English version of my videos. YouTube now lets you switch the audio into your own language, so you can enjoy it in whatever language you prefer. Most of all, I'd love to connect with Tesla fans everywhere so we can support Tesla together. I also share updates on X, so feel free to follow me there and let's connect. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.